All right, cool. So let's move on. You know, I want to set the table for all the viewers because not everybody's going to be familiar with Scrum. And some of the things that we're going to be talking about, obviously the primary subject of this, which is the sprint review meeting. I just want to sort of like lay like sort of like the groundwork for what is Scrum, and some of the attributes of it. So, Victoria, given that you're the veteran here, could you describe for me the key roles of a Scrum team?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually one of my favorite things about Scrum is that it is so straightforward, which I think is speaks to why Jalen's able to pick it up so quickly. So the key roles in a Scrum team, there are three of them, and those are the product owner, the Scrum master, and the development team. Of course, the development team is comprised of many different specialties, but they're considered one role as just a multifunctional team working against a shared goal.
And if you could go a little bit deeper into that, can you sort of explain to our viewers, what the roles and responsibilities are for each of those key roles?
Yeah, absolutely. So the product owner, first and foremost, is responsible for the backlog. The product backlog is where we manage features and the priorities of those features that we plan to ship within the product lifecycle. So a primary responsibility for the product owner is finding where we are going to create the highest amount of value to our customer and our end user. So they find value and they prioritize the tasks and feature set accordingly. And then they explain that value to the development team. They ensure that value is conveyed and understood throughout the team so everyone can organize and get motivated around what we are building and why we are building it. And the Scrum Master really helps the team to work as efficiently as possible. The development team is self-organized. They help indicate how they are going to work their best and most efficiently to get the key tasks, prioritized tasks completed. And the Scrum Master is very well connected and is very in tune to the day-to-day of the development team and ensures that if any issues arise, they can help and unblock the team and just shepherd them in working as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, no, that totally resonates. Oftentimes when I describe this, I make a clear distinction between the how and the what. And from my perspective, I always say that the product owner is responsible for what is getting built, and the Scrum Master, is responsible for how it gets built, and the mechanics of that. Jalen, is there anything you want to add as it relates to these roles?
No, I mean, I think you guys covered it all. I definitely, like you said, I resonate with sort of how Victoria described it. Like she said, it's really straightforward, right? It's not terribly complex, but it's extremely effective. So yeah, I don't have any other comments to add there.
Yeah. Well, one thing, and this is me going off the reservation a little bit, but I'll throw this out here to both of you guys. There's certainly a difference between when you were on a product development team, versus in a consultant capacity, and you're actually serving a client. And so I guess if we could like embellish on the product owner role a little bit, as it relates to basically like the difference between being a startup, and being a product manager, product owner, and figuring out what features need to be, in your product, to deliver the most value, with the least amount of cost, versus working with clients, who have their own perspective on what they want built, and how that product owner role, sort of works, as it relates to a client in a professional services environment.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think the primary distinction comes into play, when it comes time to develop our requirements, right? So, when we're dealing with an external client, effectively my job is to represent their interest to our development team, right? Full stop. Whereas if we don't have an external client, there's typically a little bit more work to be done in terms of doing our own research, developing our own set of requirements through that sort of process. And so that's kind of like the main distinction that I notice between the two.
Victoria?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm just kind of jumping off of that point. Of course, if this was our own internal product or we were product managers of our own product, it would be our responsibility to go out and understand the market and really be that voice of the end user. But also, even in that scenario, you're always going to have stakeholders. So I kind of consider it as, in client services, our client is kind of the ultimate stakeholder. So of course, they do have a lot of knowledge to bring in on what they think the requirements should be, what the priorities should be. So I kind of see it as a partnership to lean on them for their just internal business knowledge and just their knowledge of their customer base. But at the same time, exploring ideas together and pushing them on what brings most value to the product at the end of the day.
That's an excellent point. There was a really what I see as a clear jewel in something that you just said, and that's in terms of working with our clients as partners and leveraging their domain expertise. And this is kind of a sidebar, but I'm often asked, like, do you guys have expertise in this industry or that industry or what have you? And the idea is that our expertise is in building digital products. Whether those are software products, hardware, IoT, et cetera. The point, for us is that we can sort of bind ourselves to the expertise, the domain expertise of any of our clients, no matter what their industry. And it's really, to use a Wu-Tang reference, form like Voltron into this, masterful product, development machine. And so, that's an excellent point. And the product owner, product manager is the fulcrum of that from a client services perspective. So thank you for that. So
I was just waiting for when you were going to bring Wu-Tang into this. About a couple minutes in.
I was going to say, did we make 5 minutes in?
That's right. That's right. I'll find a Jay-Z reference soon enough.
That's right.
Yeah, that's funny.